Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to the next installment of our CI Compass webinar series. I'm thrilled to introduce our distinguished guest speaker, Ana Hunsinger. Ana brings to us a wealth of knowledge and experience in the field of research and education, with particular focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Ana's remarkable leadership extends across a multitude of projects, including her role as principal investigator of 3 NSF awards. These awards are dedicated to accelerating cyber infrastructure capacity to enhance research and learning environments at historically Black colleges and universities, tribal colleges and universities, and minority serving institutions. Ana is also the Vice President of Community Engagement at Internet2, where she oversees engagement programs, research outreach, international partnerships, and community events. Today, Ana will share with us the important work of the Minority Serving Cyber Infrastructure Consortium, of which she is the principal investigator. MSCC plays a pivotal role in supporting underrepresented colleges and universities in their quest for advanced cyber infrastructure capabilities. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Ana. Go ahead and take it away, Ana.
Thank you, Nicole. I would like to begin today by acknowledging that we're all gathered here today, wherever you may be. Many of you on ancestral homelands of the Native nations and indigenous peoples past, present, and future. Indigenous peoples have stewarded these lands throughout the generations, and we pay respect for their ongoing care and keeping of these lands. I want to personally acknowledge and pay respects to the Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Ute nations whose care and keeping of these lands allow me to be here with you from Denver, Colorado, from where I'm presenting from home. Okay, so delighted to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today. Let me go ahead and start some slides here. We're going to make sure that all of you have access to the slides, so you will have them. I like to talk, so I'm probably going to talk more than what's actually on the slides, but nonetheless, I suppose I should be putting some stuff up here. So thank you again for the great introduction. I'm really excited to be here with you. Ana Hunsinger, and as Nicole mentioned, I will tell you more about why I'm here today as the principal investigator for this set of efforts, but I'm also the Vice President of Community Engagement at Internet2. So let's get started. I'm going to tell you why I think I'm here today. First, let me start by saying that there is a growing recognition and a sense of urgency among our community to uplift every organization that aspires to contribute to research and education. And oops, here we go. So I already said hello. I'm going to give you a bit of context that I think is really important to take a look at this table. Please, this is one I do need you to look at. For years, our colleagues at these institutions have been responsible for nurturing their students, supporting their faculty, and uplifting their communities. The expertise, ideas, and perspectives from historically Black colleges and universities and tribal colleges and universities need to be more fully brought to bear on the scientific and societal challenges that are facing our country. Let's go a little bit into now tribal colleges. Okay. Over 50 years, TCUs have provided a path for American Indian students to access a higher education that's grounded in Native cultures and traditions, providing them with the opportunity to launch their careers and serve their communities while creating a better future for themselves and their families. Tribal colleges and universities are located nationwide, from the Midwest to the Southwest to the Plains and the Northern Rockies, serving diverse Indian nations. Despite these differences, all TCUs share 3 basic criteria. They are tribally chartered, their boards are comprised of a majority of Native Americans, and the student body is comprised of a majority of Native Americans. Okay, a little bit about HBCUs. Let's see, here we go. According to data from the Congressional Bipartisan HBCU Caucus, HBCUs contribute nearly $15 billion to our annual economy and have provided pathways of opportunity to millions of Americans, many of whom are first-generation college students. HBCUs produce 42% of Black engineers, 47% of Black women engineers, 50% of all Black lawyers, 50% of all Black public school teachers, and 80% of all Black judges. 70% of Black doctors in our country attended an HBCU. 100% of our country's vice presidents came from an HBCU. HBCUs equip and strategically empower Black students to be their authentic selves and embody who they desire to be through a healthy and supportive environment unique to how these schools are structured. While HBCUs do their share of producing Black graduates with STEM degrees, there's a greater need for equity throughout the education pipeline and in the workforce hiring practices. Oops, apologies. Just a little bit more context here, because I think these definitions are really important and they help set the stage. As we, today in our country, there are over 700 minority-serving institutions. The National Center for Education Statistics states that minority-serving institutions are classified based on either legislation or the percentage of minority student enrollment. Why focus on HBCUs and TCUs, you may ask, because that's going to lead me to then my presentation. I think it's important to distinguish among the MSI designations because there are differences also in the historical legacies and injustices that led to the establishment, and that are key to ensuring America's STEM pipeline is strong. So as we pursue efforts to diversify the STEM fields, Black students at HBCUs and Native students at TCUs are more likely to get a STEM degree, and they're more likely to graduate in general. I believe it is impossible to create a diverse workforce, a diverse and an inclusive workforce without HBCUs and TCUs. So how can we collectively, as a community of those involved in advancing CI, those of us that are also playing a role and that we care deeply about enabling what you could do through IT, what you could do through cyber infrastructure to support the advancement of research education and the service missions of the institutions. What can we do as a community to advocate for the inclusion and success of historically underserved institutions? It begins with meaningful and respectful engagements with our colleagues at HBCUs and TCUs so that we can listen and learn from them as we work to address systemic inequity. When you get a chance, I want to encourage you to take a look at an event that happened not too long ago, May of this year, that really centers around bringing the voices from these schools to vision and position a stronger R&E community. So I encourage you, when you get an opportunity, to actually go to this and one of several opportunities where we've been able to bring these voices and to listen to them as well. All right, so you may wonder, okay, why all this context? And tell us, Ana, okay, we want to hear about the MSEC, and I think it's important that I tell you a little bit as to how I got involved, how Internet 2 got involved in all of this. In about between 2019 and 2020, a group of chief information officers from HBCUs approached Internet 2 about their vision and an emerging collaboration of HBCUs at that time, inclusive, though, of other institutions. But the first conversation started with a group of HBCUs leaders. These leaders have been meeting since, I believe, 2018, meeting between themselves, creating trust between themselves, sharing issues and challenges confronted by their campuses. The Minority Serving Cyber Infrastructure Consortium, the MSIs, emerged from these conversations. As many of you know, Internet 2 historically has largely focused on supporting research-intensive institutions. It is worth noting that as this group approached me and others on the internet to an uncomfortable yet undeniable reality of how little Internet 2 had done to directly engage and understand the gaps between their campus networks and both the national and global R&D ecosystem, that really came front and center. I continue to this day to be in a very long and humbling journey. For me, what started in 2019 is still to this day a realization of how much I and many others still have to learn and do. Internet 2, like many organizations, we operate infrastructure and services to advance research and education. We operate networks, we manage services. We have seen firsthand that incredible things can happen if you enable networks, data, compute, storage, clouds, identity, and access, people, what we call cyber infrastructure. Today, so much of what we do across higher education is increasingly dependent on cyber infrastructure to advance science, to advance the missions of universities, and the grand challenges that are facing our society and, quite frankly, our planet. We know that CI enables faculty and students to collaborate and to contribute to research. But an unfortunate reality is that while we all know this, there are many, in fact, thousands, millions in our higher ed ecosystem that are excluded from the conversations or that can relate to this. Cyber infrastructure is what? They may say. And what does it do? And what does it mean for those voices that have been marginalized or underrepresented or, quite frankly, excluded? And what do we do to have them take center stage and start and steer conversations that are based on their needs? As I mentioned, the designations for HBCUs, TCUs, and across other categories of minority serving institutions have unique historical and cultural definitions beyond the makeup of their student bodies. Their institutional contexts vary enough to require individual considerations for CI strategic action across and within each category. There is not a one-size-fits-all here. These institutions strive to meet the education needs of their students and to provide a unique environment of support to address the systemic challenges that their students and communities continue to face. Despite being systemically underserved and under-resourced, these institutions continue to uplift their students and, by extension, their communities, nurturing leaders across academic disciplines. These institutions have to be given the resources to grow and thrive because historically they have done such huge work to get us to where we are at this moment. Looking ahead, and with increased data dependency on all fields and industries, these institutions and their faculty must prepare their students to participate in the STEM workforce through their education programs. Cyber infrastructure is critical to reaching the missing millions. Beyond the research scope that many of us in the room have led with, the overarching theme of a report that I encourage you to look at, it's called the Missing Millions Report. It was funded by NSF. A big theme in that report is that there's much work that is needed to remove the barriers to cyber infrastructure access in historically underrepresented communities. Not only is the funding needed for additional campus infrastructure, but also resources that infrastructure is upheld. Further, vibrant communities that include a working group of peers, a sense of belonging and engagement, and growth and sustainability are essential to ensure the long-term participation and engagement for these institutions. So that is where the minority serving cyber infrastructure is front and center. This is their vision. This is our vision. MSCC envisions a transformational partnership to promote advanced cyber infrastructure capabilities on HBCU, TCUs, HSIs, and MSI campuses. As I mentioned, this is their shared vision, one that is driven by inclusion, value, and making an impact through shared ownership and commitment to these institutions. Okay, it's important that this effort is led by these institutions. So I just wanted to give you a sense that the leadership, through what has come together as the Consortium Leadership Board, includes me as the PI, but it really is led and framed by the leadership from these institutions. So I would be remiss if I didn't call attention to the important work that all my colleagues that are listed here are playing every day to advance the MSCC. Okay, so with this shared vision and with the context that I have provided, let me also tell you that this is why the MSCC, with support from Internet 2, we propose some bold approaches to the National Science Foundation. And I'm going to cover some of the work that has been supported with sincere appreciation and gratitude to the foundation for supporting the work that I'm about to cover for you. So real quick, the award numbers are referenced here. If you want to look up more details, I'm going to give you a glimpse into what's happening with these. Okay, let me start with the first one, which we're on about, well, we just started a no-cost extension on this one as well. Awarded in September of 2021, the MSCC received funds towards a Center of Excellence demonstration pilot with over the course of the 2 year. Again, we're on three years this year. With the aims, you can read them here. You can see a little bit more about the impacts as described to NSF. The main aims are to increase access to cyber infrastructure resources, to empower researchers at MSCC campuses in their use of cyber infrastructure. Some key components that have framed our activities are on awareness, outreach, community building, and communication through the MSCC as a more robust effort. We've been very, very busy. This is a very dense slide. And certainly if you go to the links or the code there, you can get a bit more information on any of these. Let me just say here that we have conducted several surveys and in the engagement with the institutions so that we can better understand the shared challenges by these institutions. So we've used that to help us prioritize which areas to focus our community engagement work on. Cybersecurity has certainly emerged as one of 3 highest ranked priorities. So we put a lot of effort into that, but again, also with the CI component and done a lot of workshops, all at no cost to the MSCC schools. These workshops, which are a combination of CI focused days, but also again with often bringing the cybersecurity theme front and center too, take place at HBCUs or at TCUs as well. And this has allowed us to increase the likelihood that staff and faculty participants from not just those campuses that are playing the host role, but from other campuses can attend. And therefore we're casting a broader net here, participation. And we're also seeing regional connections happening between institutions. So this is really important. There has been a lot of effort in getting the word out on MSCC as an effort driven and owned through the voices of the MSCC schools. And last, I mean, again, we a lot of community engagement. We have communities of practice that are now meeting on a regular basis. We just announced one on cybersecurity, given that this is a good month to do so. The CI community of practice has been going really well, and we hope to launch some more and again continue to advance a lot of the things to generate awareness, create connections, and bring the community together. Little commercial here, we just launched a new website, so we'll be grateful for feedback on this. But a lot of what it just covered, if you go to the website, you can now see it as well there. Okay, Let me seg into now a couple of other things. These past years have been great in our work with the MSCC. And as we have continued our discussions, we continue to learn. And I just want to call attention to some, shared challenges that, we continue to encounter. This slide gives you a sense of some of them. And let me start by saying some of the challenges here are, as a result of limited resources, expertise, and capabilities, many of the campuses that we are trying to work with and to engage have also struggled to identify and develop, for example, required documents to NSF solicitations. So this has posed, in some cases, an immediate barrier to entry into the national CI ecosystem by MSCC campuses. And therefore, without subsequent grant funding, campuses may find themselves limited in the types and scalability of research that can be supported. They may be also unable to effectively engage or collaborate with colleagues, whether at the same institution or a different institution. Access to resources and opportunities is essential, and the ability to use and execute these resources and opportunities is also equally important. Almost every MSCC institution wants and needs access to shared resources. There's a strong desire to also have best practices, tools, and assessments that are based on their needs. Even with more funding and information guided by data engagement and so forth, each campus may still have very different needs and new challenges when supporting the campus infrastructure, particularly when dealing with competing campus priorities. So in most cases, campuses continue to have limited resources and staffing needed to implement, maintain, troubleshoot, and just keep the lights on to support campus operations. So this continues to be a present challenge and reality that is going to limit the time and commitment of HBCU and TCU staff and resources that could otherwise be dedicated to addressing what MSCC or others in partnership with the MSCC may recommend or do. And then just to mention a couple of other things, we're finding that there's a lot of work to be done to also, what are the drivers and what are the necessary resources that can then support research workflows, engagements, infrastructure. And often there is very little funding to support these type of things. So it is with this context and with these challenges too that a little bit over a year ago, we did another bold ask to NSF. This bold ask that now is about to go into year 2 aims at creating a path to start addressing some of these challenges. NSF is intrigued and very committed, I would say, to seeing if we can significantly increase and accelerate the CI-enabled research and education capacity at MSCC campuses by testing and learning from new approaches towards what we hope could be potentially a repeatable, successful model or set of models for CI implementations on MSI campuses. Through this award, it's expanded, it's a longer-term funding that allows us to also take a more directed approach in working with several HBCUs and TCUs and have MSCC provide several HBCUs and TCUs with campus-specific assessments and work that can help drive IT strategic plans focused on supporting research for their faculty and students. We're doing so with a lot of intentionality so that each of the campuses that we work with has dedicated access to expertise and resources, resulting in a tailored plan that support their campus needs. I know this slide is very dense. I just wanted to give you another sense of other impacts here and pieces here. Let me say a little bit more about the directed approach here through what we call the proof of concept program. Okay, so this is the piece of this award that has us aiming to look at a novel approach towards CI planning and capacity development to advance research and education programs at TCUs and HBCUs. We're doing so through a combination of funding and dedicated expert facilitation that could support local CI workforce and development and planning activities. We have put together teams that we call Tiger teams that have expertise on campus CI capabilities and other things like stakeholder alignment and other things. And through these teams as support, we're looking at supporting the campuses that get to go on this journey with us. Through this program, we have roughly scoped out about 5 years of support. We're about to start year 2 of the program. And the campuses whose logos you see here are the first cohort of campuses or instantiations that we're working with. So these would be kind of like the phase 1 recipients. A lot of the work in getting to where we are with these campuses is to work with them to allow them to drive from their perspective the planning that they would like to see, as we also think about where to best leverage the Tiger teams, but also the resources that are going to be placed on the campuses, funded for the campus as well. And just to give you a sense, again, year 2, we are working with 1 tribal college, 3 HBCUs, and a collection of campuses that come together through Nashville in a multi-campus collaboration. Okay, and more details, if you want to, I can cover them if you wish, or certainly Lauren Michael, my colleague who's here, she and I can address any questions that you may have. This gives you a glimpse of some of the initial objectives and activities that have been identified in partnership with the PIs at these campuses, and that we're hoping to support as we go through this process with them. Okay, so as if that was not enough, I'm also really excited to share with you that just earlier this month, we were awarded another supplement through the MSCC to develop a collaboratory in climate science and to with the effort towards scaling climate-focused CI capabilities at HBCUs and TCUs. As you can imagine, climate science is a topic of priority across the board, but it's also a topic of priority and interest for HBCUs and TCUs due to the disproportionate effects of climate change and the preservation of natural resources on historically underserved communities. So the MSCC will support opportunities through the supplement for advancing climate science research at HBCUs and TCUs. We hope through strategies and training for the implementation of CI to further advance climate science research and learning environments. The next slide tells you a little bit more. We want to ideally convene subject matter experts in climate science and support CI to inform CI-enabled climate science collaborations across the MSCC community. We want to build shareable climate science CI capabilities at MSCC campuses. And we also want to support workforce development for faculty, students, and staff. We're just getting started. As I mentioned, this just got very recently announced. Before I show you this, one more thing I want to say is that our hope with this supplemental funding too is that we can, again, continue to build CI capacity at HBCUs and TCUs in such a way that it's suited to their needs and that helps that campus advance the research and learning environments in the best way to also benefit their campuses and communities. What we want is to enable more opportunities for HBCU and TCU faculty, staff, and students to become prominent contributors to addressing climate science challenges and to be part of supporting the efforts in creating healthy, thriving communities. So really excited about this effort that, again, we are just getting started. And last, I want to start concluding here. I wanted to show you this because, you know, photos are important, but nothing like when you are at the moment. And I wish we could include the collage of all the photos, but I just want to give you a sense of the community here too. And in closing, let me just say the following. First, I want to say thank you to the support that the National Science Foundation has given the MSCC through Internet 2. That support, that is an investment and a commitment to the MSCC, is so important, and important also because I believe NSF views the MSCC as a change agent capable of advancing strategies and programs that can advance the important research and education work of HBCUs, TCUs, and other MSIs. In closing, as you look at these beautiful faces here, the expertise, ideas, and perspectives from the MSCC schools need to be more fully brought to bear on the scientific and societal challenges that are facing our country. I said this again, but I think it's important that I say it again. For years, our colleagues at HBCUs, TCUs, HSIs, and other MSIs have been responsible for nurturing their students, supporting their faculty, and uplifting their community. All of us that are here today know how important it is to get students and faculty access to tools and resources so that they can pursue their research aspirations. So that's the drive for the MSCC. And it is through that our collaboration with the MSCC, where we hope that our collective efforts can bridge digital divides that ensure the equal participation of these institutions within the US and the global research and education communities. So I'm going to wrap it there, and thank you all for letting me share all these thoughts and slides with you. And I think I'm going to stop sharing. And Nicole, hand it to you and see if how you want to manage questions or anything else. I will make sure that the slides are shareable very soon. As soon as I get a moment, I'll send them your way.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ana. That was fantastic. So we will now open the floor to questions. You can either unmute your mic and speak up or raise your hand and I'll call on you.
Okay.
So
we will send you the slides.
Anna, so I have a question. You know, speaking, I guess, for on the part of some of the major facilities and other projects that are represented here, I was wondering how we can best engage with you and contribute to your effort, and kind of join you in some way, or support what you're doing.
Well, thank you for the question. I'm going to answer it, but I'm also, I want to point you to one person in my team, Lauren Michael. Lauren, can you just wave at people? Because I think it's also important. Lauren has been playing an instrumental role in working with that directed approach with the campuses and the CI facilitation. So she may want to add to my response, because I think she's living firsthand also what are the components, if you will, for the type of engagement and supportive work that can happen with efforts like CI Compass and other national resources and efforts. I would just say that first, this understanding the differences that I highlighted at the beginning of the presentation is really important. That context. We make a lot of assumptions, especially when we use the semantics around MSIs, thinking that it's just one set of institutions. And I think it's really important that we first educate ourselves on the context too, and go a little further than just that, okay? Understand that these are institutions that work really hard to do research education and how they go about doing that is important. And there's a bit of reflection too that, how can efforts in the community collaborate? It's important that we first ask, okay, have you approached these schools firsthand? Have you included them at the forefront when you're thinking about, okay, we want to collaborate on this? So how many, you don't have to answer the question right now, but I want all of you to reflect. Have you visited an HBCU campus? Have you visited a tribal college? Have you come to their meetings where you can hear their perspectives on what their needs are? Have we gone to these places instead of expecting that they come to us? When we're doing proposals, when we're creating workflows or thinking about activities, we often say these are things because we know we come from whether it's a subject matter expertise, we make assumptions that we know what could be needed, right? But is it really needed? Have we included those voices in framing what may be needed? So I think it's humbling because often we may find that we haven't done that. So that's important. So I think it's a combination of that listening and, from the get-go, are we ready to go to places where we haven't been? I know major facilities are large, are huge in scope. They have dependencies. Also, you need the students to be able to use those facilities, right? You need the faculty to be able to use those facilities. So how can we work together to meet these institutions where they're at? Okay. So again, it's an open-ended question there. I am delighted that as PIs, we've been able to establish a dialogue too. And I think that I'm here just as a translator, and possibly at times, I don't think I'm even with my great accent, the best translator here. The best would be to have this presentation be done by a researcher from one of those schools, right? And all that. But I think, this is a great starting point, and this type of sessions, I think, are great. Bringing you to the MSCC community as well may be important as well. I know you have a huge component of student and workforce development too. And beyond the things that we're already doing, which is sharing what opportunities may be there, okay, I think we need to have a more directed, actionable things. So what do we do? So I have some ideas in that regard as well. But let me stop there and see if Lauren would like to comment. Maybe Lauren, I know it took a lot of minutes, but in your direct experience working with some of the POCGs, can you call out one or two things that maybe would be worth calling out?
Yeah, and in terms of working with historically Black colleges, tribal colleges, and the others in our community of campuses that we work with, I really emphasize to those in the national CI ecosystem, for which I was a representative of a resource provider for some time, that you've really got to build relationships and understand where these campuses are coming from. It's not just that they are, small and have under-resourced IT teams as a result of their size, like any other smaller institution. With HBCUs and tribal colleges in particular, their communities were displaced or relegated to more rural areas with less resources, or that have been more difficult to reach or have not been prioritized in even establishing basic network connectivity. But most importantly, all of you have collaborations that you've formed with others in the cyber infrastructure community. And there are probably seemingly natural reasons why you've, had affinities for certain other entities. And I would ask you to sort of challenge some of those. If you want to start working with campuses you haven't before, it's probably not enough to just put out a blanket set of resources. And the MSCC can only go so far in suggesting connections. It's the sort of places where you have alignment with other institutions that are really going to build strong collaborations, and where you can learn quite a bit from working with one campus or two campuses, just like you would approach building collaborations for any other purpose. And where then you, and more importantly, that campus can speak to the value you provide, assuming that you provide value.
Okay, well, everyone, please join me in thanking Ana for this great talk with some great conversations. This will be posted to our YouTube if you want to reference back to it, and we'll also get those slides posted to our resource page on our website. So thank you very much, Ana, and thank you all for attending.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.